Hi folks, Tim here, and welcome back to From 8 to 38, the Chronicles of a Young Entrepreneur. In this chapter, we are going to be discussing years of plenty. And that's kind of the way I want to word this, is years of plenty. I think it's a great way to think about when you have a very fruitful and productive year. It's something that is covered in the Bible multiple occasions. One of them is when Joseph is actually sold into slavery by his brothers, and later on in the story he ends up being very, very high up in Egypt, where he was sold into slavery, and was able to save up and store up during these years of plenty. And he was able to do that to then help the entire country. And it wasn't just the country that he helped bigger than the country. He was able to help the entire region who was suffering in this 7-year famine. So they had years of plenty ahead of years of famine. And what I want to do with this video is really encourage those who are either in years of famine right now, or I want to talk specifically to you if you're having a year of plenty or in a years of plenty situation. Some of it is encouragement, some of it is warning. So I really hope this video is helpful for you no matter what situation you're going through with the business. So we talked early on in this series how many businesses fail over the course of 2, 5, and 10 years. And it's a pretty hefty number. Sometimes it's just they didn't do the right market research. Other times it's people weren't prepared for what was coming. And sometimes I think they have years of plenty and not prepared for years of famine. So, like I said, I want to pull some of the biblical terms into this video. It's important for us, and many things, I'm sure as you watch this channel, you will see that we really try to pull every aspect from the Bible and put it into our lives. And we really do feel that the Christian lifestyle and being a Christian is more than in word alone. It's how we live, it's how we act, it's how we run our business. So going forward from that, I want to talk about years of plenty, because this year for us with our business has been a year of plenty, and it didn't seem like that was going to be the case early in the year. So we kind of went into an austerity budget mode once May and June rolled around, because we looked like we were starting out a year with a drought, and we were borderline drought. Some of the lawns had actually started burning before Memorial Day, so that's really bad in the lawn care world. What ended up happening is, I think it was the last week of June, it started raining, and it has not stopped raining since June. We haven't had a stretch of more than 4 days of no rain since June. If my memory serves me correct. Actually, that 4-day stretch was just last week. So otherwise, we've had 2 days of no rain. They haven't even been sunny, just 2 days of no rain. We're working, and then rain in between. It's been difficult to work in it, but it's been very good for the grass. And we have cut an incredible amount of grass this year, probably, I would say, the most grass I've ever been able to cut in a summer, which is wonderful. So this is a year of plenty for us. I'm very happy about that. The caution I would like to put out to those of you who are in either a seemingly year of plenty or a year of plenty is be very cautious looking at your year of plenty and saying, wow, I had a great year, we're going to do the same thing next year. And that's a great mindset, but it's not always the case. We can't control the weather. So we ended up having a good year last year. We're going to surpass last year's numbers this year, which is absolutely wonderful. Very blessed to be able to have that happen. We're actually going to be surpassing that goal earlier than I thought, which is great. Worked very, very hard towards it, but a year of plenty warning, and I really want this to be taken to heart, is you look at your bank account and you say, wow, there's a lot of money in there. The first thing, at least for me, the first thing I'm tempted to do is go buy something, right? Hey, we've been wanting this machine, that machine, those machines. We've been wanting a truck, a plot, you know, whatever the case may be. And it may be all worthy and good business decision purchases. My caution would be, do not take your, and I'm going to throw a number out there, which is a little crazy, but I'm going to throw 50,000 out there just as it's a nice, easy number to work with. So you look in your bank account at the end of summer and go, whoa, we got $50,000 in that bank account. That's awesome. Now, you know, I look at something like that and say, hey, yeah, that's great. Now, we've been waiting on buying some machinery. Let's go buy that machinery. Again, not necessarily the wrong decision. And I need to preface this whole discussion by saying my advice on here is not to take the place of your accountant. It's just to give you some advice and some of the mistakes or successes we have had in this business. So not to take the place of your accountant, or, you know, don't do what I say necessarily. This is just stuff that I found and some warnings and encouragements in the business that we're in. We're crossing the 15 Arch Bridge across the Ashokan Reservoir right now, which is an absolutely horrible place to try to record, as I'm sure you can tell by the way I'm bouncing around in the truck. The road is getting pretty bad, so I'm kind of taking a break from my train of thought, because otherwise it will derail. The road is so bad. Anyway, the years of plenty. So I look at that and say, wow, I've got 50,000 in the bank. That's great. And that's above and beyond the winter savings that you need to actually run your business. So I need to put that out there too. That's very important to me. That's not money that can be touched. That's money that we need to get through the winter. So they are two separate things, and they need to really remain two separate things. But it's very easy to look at this at, you know, right now I'm recording this late September. It's easy to look at this late September and say, wow, we've got money in the bank. And, you know, I've really been looking at this new truck, and boy, do I want a 4-door family truck, and $50,000 would almost pay for it, right? You know, I don't need a loaded, tricked out everything truck, but $50,000 would get us pretty close to what we need to be. Don't do it. That's my advice. Don't do it. I'd love to do it right now. Boy, I'd love to go to the where I got this truck, which is Marchese Ford, up in Lebanon, or New Lebanon, New York, and go say, hey, what do you guys have? Because I want to buy a new truck. Not a wise choice. What is a wise choice is doing what we did in this year of plenty. We did some research, and we purchased a new machine that is going to be used to save us time and energy, along with manpower, in the next couple months. So we didn't take that, again, a fake number, but we didn't take that 50,000 and spend it on a want or even maybe a need. We took some of that money from the year of plenty and we reinvested it into a very wise purchase for the business. Again, the key would be some of. So taking some of that money and reinvesting it into the business, I think, is very wise. I also think that last year was a really, really good litmus test of, can we make it through a drought year? And we did, but it wasn't easy. We did a lot of sacrifices. We did a lot of work that we don't usually do. Worked more hours, different hours, just different things that we did to make it through that drought year, or the year of famine. So again, year of plenty, year of famine. if you have, again, we're using these round numbers, if you have 50,000 and you decide to take 5, 10, or 15,000 and reinvest it into a wise choice for the business, that may be the right thing to do. Again, discuss it with your accountant. I know our business finances through and through. I know them really, really well. So for us, spending some money at the end of the year was a wise thing to do. Again, we bought that new machine. The rest of that money, it may be equally wise to take it and put it in a CD, your high yield savings account, whatever the case may be, and have it on hand for next year. Because maybe next year you have another great year and you're able to put another 50,000 aside next year. Well, if you were able to save 35 this year and 50 next year, all of a sudden you're at 85. And there's an old saying, I don't actually know how old it is, but there is a saying that the first million is the hardest to make. Now, I wouldn't know because I don't have $1 million in the bank. So I don't know. I don't have $1 million in the bank. But that's kind of the joke is, or at least the saying, the first million is the hardest to make. So by saving during those years of plenty, you're able to gracefully make it through, or at least more gracefully make it through the years of famine. And if it's an extended time where we have a recession or a depression, you're able to make it through without losing your truck and without, God forbid, losing your house, but without losing your trucks and machinery that you use to make a living, because that's really what we don't want to have happen. So you need to save for years of famine when you have your years of plenty. And I understand that payments and financing are a very, very helpful tool. I use them. Everybody uses them. We have a truck payment on this truck. We have a tractor payment. Those are the only two payments we have. And I've worked really hard to keep it at that. I could not afford this truck brand new without a payment. I could not afford our tractor brand new without a payment. The payment on this truck is fairly low because we put about half of the truck down, which was pretty difficult. We saved for a while to be able to do that. And we did a similar thing with the tractor. We put a decent amount on the tractor down, not as much as I was going to, because when we were doing all this work to figure out what we were going to do with the tractor, we found out that Massey Ferguson was offering a 0% financing. Now, when 0% financing option comes into play and you have the cash to go in and write a check, that's a whole different ballgame. It's something that, again, talk with your accountant, but if you're going to buy a $25,000 or $30,000 item, whatever it may be, and there's 0% financing, then in my mind, why wouldn't you finance? Sometimes it's a very small finance rate, but it's essentially free money. You get to borrow their money for free. So it's not free money, but you get to borrow their money for free with no penalty to you. So that's what we did with the tractor. We borrowed their money for free with no penalty to us. And we have money in a savings account earning interest for us instead of writing a $30,000 check. So kind of an important side note, I think. I know it's a little off topic from the years of plenty, years of famine. A lot of deer out today. A lot of them. Anyway, the years of famine, and this is encouragement for those of you who may be in one of them right now. It's very difficult. It's very discouraging. You want to give up. You might want to curl up into a ball and cry. I don't really know what way that you may deal with something like that. And I would just say, we've dealt with stuff like that. It's hard. It's difficult. You got to fight through it. And it's going to be blood, sweat, and tears. Yes, it is. Yes, it's going to hurt. Yes, there's going to be sacrifices. And does it mean that you're not going to go to, we're going to pick some lower income things rather than Disney World. But does it mean that you're not going to go to the fair 3 times this summer? You might end up going to the free events that the town hosts instead. Yeah, that very well may be the case. Or if you get to go to the fairs, maybe you get to go on 1 or 2 rides instead of 10 rides each. Things like that. It's going to take sacrifices, not just from you as the entrepreneur, as the business owner. It's going to take sacrifices from your family to make it through. My encouragement is those sacrifices are worth it. Really, really worth it. We've made it through those years. They've been tough. There's been sacrifices, yes. Has there been time that I'm not going to get back with my kids? Yeah, definitely. But again, we've talked about this before. We're playing the long game here. We're not playing 1 round or 1 game. We're playing a tournament. We're playing game the entire year. And, you know, we're not just playing 1 ball game. We're playing 150 of them. So, yeah, we might lose 1 or 2, but in the end, you keep fighting and you win in the end. So, that's my encouragement for those of you who are hitting those rough years. Every single business out there hits them. You just might not see it. Like I said, we've had some rough ones where we've had some older machinery. It felt like every single day something was breaking down, and I wanted to just give up and go back to bed for the day. I mean, that was the way I felt with some of those things. Every single day something was breaking down. It's discouraging. It's difficult. I could say those words 100 times, but you know, head up, chin up, fight through it. It will get better as you fight through it. It takes time, but you'll get there. So don't let 1 or 2 bad years, bad seasons, whatever the case may be, discourage you that much. A caution I would have is, in those years of famine, be really careful with money. Don't borrow more if you don't have to. You know, when my trucks were breaking down, when the machinery was breaking down, I didn't say, forget this, I'm going to buy a brand new truck. Actually, I probably said that about 30 times, but I didn't do it. We fixed it, we pushed through, we kept our head down, we moved forward. In those tough years, especially in financial hardship years, the thing to do when you're having a financial hardship is not say, well, a new truck or a new machine is just going to fix this for me. That's probably not the case. So think about what you're doing before you do it. It may be wise to look at the potential of selling some of the machinery you have that you might not use. We've purchased machines over the years that we thought we were going to use like crazy, and we really didn't. So in some of those years where it's been bad, we sold some stuff off, and realistically kind of took a loss on the machine. But that depends on how you look at things. Did I actually take a loss? Or by taking that loss, was I able to actually get out of that hole that I was in? So, you know, if you owe $50,000 in a truck, I'm not saying you should sell it for 35 and hey, we're only 15,000 in debt instead of 50. No, because now you've got nothing to show for it. But if you have some stuff that you're not using anymore, look at the potential of moving it along and talk with somebody. When you're having the tough years, it's good to have somebody there to talk to and run some ideas off of as to how you can get out of whatever hole you're in. So again, it can be really, really discouraging. It's upsetting. Like I said, you might want to curl up in a ball and cry. I have no idea. But yeah, those are a couple thoughts on years of plenty and years of famine. The good years are great. The bad years aren't. The thing is, every business, everywhere, has good years and bad years. And every job everywhere has good years and bad years. It might be a year of famine for you if you're used to doing 15 hours of overtime every week or every paycheck, whatever the case may be, and all of a sudden that overtime is gone and you've extended yourself to that point of needing that overtime money. It may be so I think that would be a good example of that too. It's not just when you're the business owner and the entrepreneur that you run into those situations. I know today was a little bit of a disheartening topic, but it's one that needs to be out there, needs to be in the open. Again, really important. Don't have that great year and then go out and blow it all. It's just not good. It's not wise. And some celebration, absolutely, I can understand that. You know, we've worked hard to get out of debt over the years, and we have celebrated the milestones as we've worked towards getting out of debt. So maybe you're in credit card debt right now. And again, I love using the round numbers because it's so much easier for me to use the round numbers in front of the camera because I don't have a calculator or a whiteboard or anything like that. But maybe you're $8,000 or $10,000 in credit card debt. It's a lot of money in credit card debt. And you and your wife, kids, maybe you're single, whatever the case may be, you're working on getting out of debt. Celebrate the milestones. Taking a $10,000 debt and dropping it to $7,500 is an enormous milestone, right? Dropping it to $5,000 is an enormous milestone. Dropping it to $2,500. So what Abby and I did over the years as we met our financial goals is we celebrated. It doesn't have to be a big fancy celebration, right? If we worked our way out of debt, the last thing I want to do is go out and buy a $500 dinner for a couple people to celebrate the fact that we're out of debt. No, you know, instead we can go to a nice restaurant or whatever the case may be, but somewhere nice that we enjoy, and spend some money, spend some time together, and say, yes, we made a lot of sacrifices to get out of debt here or to make this progress. And yes, I know we're spending some of our hard-earned money right now, but this is to commemorate and celebrate the sacrifice that we made to get to this point. Because fighting through a boatload of debt is really hard. I know it's hard. I've done it. That's definitely a topic for another day. But I've done it. It's hard. And the best way to do it is put your head down, make some sacrifices, and do it very steadily. So, you know, don't just make that minimum payment. Make some extra payments. If you were buying a fancy coffee every week, every couple days, whatever the case may be, you don't have to cut them all out. If you want to, great. But if that's your thing that's easy to cut out, great. But if you're buying 5 a week, try buying 3 a week, and take the $10 a week extra or $40 a month and put them towards something. I don't like the cut everything out of your life that's not needed mentality, because most of us can't do that. Some people can do it, but most of us can't. And it gives a very unrealistic expectation, an unrealistic goal, and one that would be nearly impossible to try to make happen. So thank you for watching From 8 to 38, the Chronicles of a Young Entrepreneur. I truly hope that these videos are at least a little bit helpful for, even if only one person, then what I'm doing here is worthwhile. So thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share.